fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
They say that when it comes to the iRacing World Championships and the Porsche Esports Super Cup, that it's about grassroots. And it seems very weird to say that in terms of a sim racing scene, because of the fact that for the most intents and purposes, you don't see the work that goes on to try and get drivers to be quick. You don't often see Porsche races being broadcast live on the iRacing Esports network or on the relative channels that surround that. But today is the building process. This is where arguably the fastest division in all of the world is now going to try and cultivate its new stars. Welcome to the Australasian Porsche Challenge, and it's the first round of 6, and we start proceedings at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Club here today for you with SimSpeed TV. My name's Jake Sperry, joined alongside me is Cameron Dance here for this one, and Cam, it is just worth pointing out today that it's a 2-race format. You've got ourselves a 23-lap race, which is going to be taking place to be effectively our heat in terms of this one. And then, of course, we switch it all around. We get only 20 minutes on the clock for the feature, 11 laps, and the top 10 get inverted. This is going to be a very interesting couple of races that we have to open up proceedings for a brand new championship.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's really, really going to be quite entertaining and really looking forward to it, especially with the fact that it's a multi-race schedule, more or less, where you've got those 2 races to sort of sort yourself out instead of having one race and then one race and then one race after each round. So it's really going to be quite fascinating. Obviously, the likes of the Porsche Esports Super Cup having that dual race format as well. It's not quite the same format, but it is running in somewhat parallel to obviously prepare some of these drivers for the qualifying series that'll be coming up in the next season or so. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what tonight's going to be like and what sort of racing this track is going to produce.
Qualifying is currently underway at this point in time as we look down at Lexington, Ohio course right now. There's the keyhole at turn number 2. China Beach is always going to be tough at turn 4. The S's are tough to put the power down at 7. And then the rise up Thunder Valley towards the carousel. Always a brilliant circuit here to try and get a good run in Ohio here in Ohio. But we do have ourselves qualifying underway. It is closed qualifying right now, Cam. So what does that entail for the drivers, and what are the differences between what is normally an open qualifying compared to what is normally run in official series as a closed qualifying?
Well, first one is clearly obvious, is that you don't have traffic to deal with. So you've got the entire track to yourself, and pretty much with the way it is in this series, at least, it's 15 minutes or 15 laps, whichever one you can complete first, and pretty much just go out there and go as fast as you possibly can in that set amount of time or laps. So yeah, it's really just all about putting it on the line and seeing how fast you can go at the end of the day.
Well, here is the current pole sitter at the moment. It is the 93 machine of Griffin Gardner hitting the brakes into the China Beach section of the road. A tough turn 4, which leads immediately into the next left up at 5 before descending down the hill. Not much time to put the power down before going through the 90-degree right, turn 6. The S's 7 and 8 then follow up and over the hill, trying to put the power down. And then, of course, you've got a very difficult turn number 9 out on track, which leads through Thunder Valley, or actually turn 10. And then you've got, now is 10 here at Thunder Valley. Then you've got 11 here, this left-hander, which always wants to spit you out. And finally, turn number 12, rounding the final corner. Always about power on the exit, because this left is so underrated for how difficult it is. And Gardner hoping for a little bit of improvement late to find that time. It's a 23.2, so that will be just to put a little bit of practice in. Timer, though, expires here in qualifying. Nobody else able to get a lap into the books. So we'll go over to the starting grid. This is how everyone is going to line up then for the first race of the season, the first race of the championship then here today. And this is going to be an important battleground because Griffin Gardner is on pole position with a 122.820. Blake Purdy alongside just 23 thousandths splitting the top two. Cooper Webster starts this one from third, and Jack Boyd goes from fourth place. Luke Bergens and Jake Blackhall make the third row, with Emerson Harvey and Michael Taliancic there in eighth position. Jordan Mulak starts this one from ninth, and it's Richard Skender rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, over at the page, Matt Marsh and Bobby Jovanovic on row number 6. Row 7, Robert Cook and Jamie Stovall, David Kimman and Jacob Cranston, followed by Alex Schuler and Jake Maloney. And then rounding out the top 20 on row 10, Brian Borg and Bradley Ratu.
A number of drivers choosing not to qualify the car. Dylan Muller, Callum Brannigan and Liam J. Hall make the 23, hoping to take to the start today. We'll have a little look at the track conditions of what they have to deal with in this mid-Ohio race. You can see air temp 25 degrees, track temp is at 31. It is bang in the middle and ideal for racing today. It's a little bit windy coming in from the southwest. That will make life a little bit difficult, but it's about 82 kilometers that they'll have and a rolling start. And just to make life just that little bit different, or a little bit more difficult, I think I should say, Cam, they're behind the iRacing Porsche first safety car, which the only difference it has is it's got some flashing lights on the top.
Yeah, and it's obviously missing a rear wing as well. So it's literally as though they've taken the car and ripped a few body parts off it. But yeah, it's at least the same sort of car, so there's going to be no difference whatsoever.
Absolutely not. That will dive down into the pits very, very quickly when it comes to racing action here. It's a short formation lap around this place, and we can see from the back of Griffin Gardner's perspective here, that is an Altus car behind, and will be wanting to try and get on through as soon as possible. And of course, Altus have been picking up good drivers here and good drivers there. They've effectively been raiding the pantry, so to speak, of the Evolution Racing team. So they definitely have a lot of good drivers at their disposal. But going through then the penultimate corner right now, they'll be doing that here, the carousel. It's now going to be about patience. You don't want to run yourself into troubles too early. This is a long race that they'll be having their scraps with, and it's a who's who at the front of this pack. Let's get ourselves ready then for some racing action here as the green flag drops and they get themselves underway. And it's a great jump then from the Pursuit Sim Racing driver there, Blake Purdy, who's got that one sorted. Round the outside tries Jack Boyd, looking for third place out there on track as they go up towards the keyhole corner. Turn number 2 out on track, and for the time being, everybody funneled on through cleanly. Webster's looking around the outside trying to attack this one, but down the hill, it's all nice and dandy. Everybody nicely going through, and now it's a run to China Beach. We look at Emerson Harvey side by side.
Yeah, he's got himself a pretty decent start there. Has Blake Purdy, as Emerson Harvey has his hands full of it. Jake Blackhorn, the Pure Sims Esports car, and who's looking up the inside, and Harvey going to try hold around the outside, and he's just going to be able to do it and have the inside for the next corner. So nice bit of racecraft there, but Blackhorn not giving it up easily though, and he's going to try and hold it around the outside. A little bit of a wiggle on the exit, and that's going to allow Harvey to take the position off him.
Of course, Pure Sims is BTTC champion, Ash Sutton's team, so that will be a good effort from Jake Blackhall there. Couldn't quite get that one working. Now looking behind Luke Bergens there in 7th position. That will be just a little bit of a worry moving on forward. But at the front, Purdy is trying to break away. Griffin Gardner there in second. You can just see it here, how aggressive Cooper Webster is behind the Burst Esport driver. And Burst have some incredibly amazing talent, not just with iRacing, of course. They've got the likes of one of the most legendary RF2 drivers in the world in the form of Jurne Simoncic. So it really is a team that's looking to try and challenge on all platforms.
Yeah, certainly. They've gone out big in the same process. So it's really, really good to see the likes of Griffin Gardner coming out here, and also Burst Esports as well. Obviously, as good as they are, and looking forward to seeing what Griffin could possibly do in the pro qualifiers that come up in the next season or so. But nevertheless, it looks like actually started to break away a little bit here from Cooper Webster and also Jack Boyd, who seem to have dropped back a little bit, possibly not quite getting as good of a run out of the keyhole.
No, not at all. And the new Synergy sim racing driver will be hoping to try and find as much as possible here over the course of the racing action that we have. And of course, those races are going to be back to back. There is no downtime after the first race finishes, such as heat formats which they are running right now. They'll be looking to try and make sure they go on through. A handful of drivers did not take to the start then and have missed it. About 5 drivers missed the start and are effectively out of the race without really going at all. So that's not ideal for them. But at the moment, there is Bergens trying to attack here at the carousel. It's such a difficult corner to try and unlock the overtake here, but wide goes Blackhall, who has pushed a little bit too deep and now will compromise the line through the final corner and looking for the inside. Gardner sets the fastest lap of the day, but Bergens diving for the inside at turn number 1. Round the outside, holding still is Jake Blackhall, and what's key is that will be the next position. And slow is Gardner there, coming out of turn number 1. He's dropped all the way back to 5th place.
Yeah, I think he might have had a spin. He actually ran wide out of turn number 1, clipped the inside curve and then ran wide as a result. Managed to barely hold on to the car, but nevertheless, he's going to have his work cut out from him. So getting a replay of what's happening, you just see clips the inside curve a little bit too much and as a result sent off the road and then managing to barely come back on the track and not get hit in the process.
Those poor cones, they had families, damn it, as Griffin Gardner then drops back into 5th position and now has to do more work here to try and claw away back through the field. There is Rich Skender in the Penrite-sponsored Stealth Simforce car trying to attack here, but has Bobby Jovanovic just behind, who will want to try and get as close as possible here in this one to that top 10, and that's a crucial number in this series. The top 10, of course, reverses the grid for the second race, and they'll be looking to try and go through. Nice to see Fusion Sim Racing out there having a good run. Of course, that is a good friend of ours team, and that is Reese Gardner, the Southpaw racer.
Yeah, certainly. It's been a while since I've actually seen a Fusion Sim Racing livery on a Porsche Cup car. It's quite an older one, actually. So, yeah, good to see the Fusion Sim Racing driver out there and on the track. Is that Emerson Harvey off the road?
Wow. Just like that then, was battling it out with Griffin Gardner. I'd like to see what's happened there as Brian Borg's going to make a way through as well. So how did this one all go down for the number 76 machine? We'll take a look then here with Motum Simulation. This is back at the final couple of corners, and we'll look all the way towards turn number 1 to see how this happened. It looks like it is one of those solo incidents that happens all on its merry lonesome and in towards turn number 1. Let's see how aggressive the curb. Just clips the inside and the back steps out because the grip's not there. You've lifted a couple of tyres off of the road, and this Porsche 911 Cup car does not like tyres up in the air.
Yeah, certainly. It doesn't like big bumps, at least, especially with the fact that it's got a stock suspension that you'd find on the road car. So it's not that great for handling bumps and everything. But it's on for the lead of the race, though, as Cooper Webster's really close up to the back of Blake Purdy here.
Purdy's not been able to break away. He's had a gap of up over 1.1 seconds in this one, but the consistency number isn't there, and these are early stages. Lap 4, Cooper Webster goes purple with a 1:23.1, really chasing down young Blake Purdy here, trying to attack. These are 2 stars for the future, mark my words about it. On the brakes, into the keyhole, turn number 2, easy to understeer wide, and that's the proof of the pudding for the 488 of Blake Purdy, trying to put the power down on the exit of the corner, but Cooper Webster not quite there, but there's where the draft is coming into play. There is Dave Kidman in 15th position, a little bit further back. We look to that for a replay because something has happened here to Mr. Kidman, and it looks like it's all a world of trouble through the opening corner. Oh, grass on entry, no wonder it went wrong.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that anytime soon. Unfortunately, he's gone well off the road, so he's having to sit there for some time, and unfortunately, he's dropped well down the order, so he's going to be having his work cut out from to catch back up to the rest of the field. But this battle for the lead is still well and truly on. Cooper Webster is not letting him get away, is he? So looking like he's probably going to be able to make a move, if not just sit here for the time being.
He's got time. He's got a lot of time to go and work with here. They take the big wide line through the carousel and try and pick up the run off of the exit and attack. This is a technical track here at Mid-Ohio. It's got so much undulation. It's got so much that goes for it. As there goes one driver into the pits, as Jack Boyd actually sets the fastest lap then of the race so far. So out and away somebody goes there just behind, just trying to catch who that is in 313. That is Jacob Cranston there, who is a lap down now, and will be looking to try and get back through this race as quick as possible. But another little attack that's going to be coming on here. Webster's got a good run here through turn number 2 at the keyhole. Small kink right of 3. There's the former IndyCar starters marker there out on track. Here's the lunge to the inside, and I think Blake knew better than to try and race for that one, because that is straight on through. Altus take the lead through Cooper Webster.
Or do they? Because Blake Purdy's coming at him around the outside, but not going to be able to have enough grip to hold it there, so he's going to have to slot back in behind. But not a bad thing to possibly just slot in behind and maybe save a bit of fuel. But that said, Webster looks like he's got a lot of pace compared to Blake Purdy, so we'll see what he can do and whether he can pull away from Blake Purdy here. But it's going to be just a matter of trying to hold on for Blake Purdy at the end of the day, as Jack Boyd isn't too far behind either.
No, I would have more worried about Jack Boyd in terms of that battle. 8th, 9th and 10th on. Skender holding back Taliancic and Bobby Jovanovic. It's alphabet soup for 9th and 10th place, you'd say. And there is the recovering Emerson Harvey in 11th place, who will want to try and get through and gain those places. Jovanovic doing a good job of things right now, trying to get aggressive on the back of this group. But you have to bide your time over a long race like this. It's 17 laps left in this one right now. So what they have to be a little bit concerned about, you would say, Cam, in terms of this race is, well, where am I going to be placed? How much am I going to gain for that extra one position? Knowing that there is going to be, of course, the feature that comes up, a shorter sprint format, which really does separate the men from the boys, so to speak.
Yeah, certainly, and there's even that invert of the top 10 finishing positions as well from race 1. So if you finish in first, you're going to be a little bit of a disadvantage with the fact that you're not going to have so long to get back to the front of the field. So you're really going to have to work hard to make sure that you do try and put yourself in a reasonable position and try and game the session, game the points. But nevertheless, it's going to be just all about trying to maximize points gains in race 1 as well, since they are double the amount that they are for race 2.
There is Bobby Jovanovic we are on board with right now through the S's and down the hill, looking towards turn number 9 and Thunder Valley at turn number 10. There we go, there's the dip, and now up the right here through this right. It's a tough braking zone. You've got to get straight as early as possible right now through that corner. You can't have the vehicle turning and braking at that section of road up the hill. And again, it's a case of issues. So now, being held up a little bit, that's a call then to come down into the lane, get some fuel, get some tyres, get this one going. Of course, the one pit stop does make a good change here in terms of this opening race, and that is the first real taker we've seen.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens and where he comes out in relation to everybody else once the pit stop phase is finished. Looks like he only took some fuel as well, did Bobby. So tyres not really a big factor in the first race, at least by the looks of it.
No, doesn't look like much of a factor here. We've got ideal track conditions, so we're not going to be seeing a million miles of wear here in this one. There is Brian Ball just behind, but there is your race trio at the front. Cooper Webster leading, Blake Purdy second, Jack Boyd in third, none of whom have been able to walk away from the other right now, and this has been a really prevalent point here in this race. Blake Purdy, yes, wasn't so good at the front of the field, but able to stay in a range to Cooper Webster and continuously apply that pressure. And, well, what's the call? Who's going to decide to do what? Big wide line taken by Cooper there, and very nearly invited the nose down the inside from Blake Purdy, who doesn't take second chances.
Yes, certainly, and that's the thing is small mistakes in this car, because it's so even and fixed setup as well, is you can't really afford those small mistakes, and it costs you big time, as we saw there from Cooper Webster and Blake Purdy with the advantage that he had. So it's really just all about making sure you can be consistent and not make any errors, especially with how close it is between this top 3, as Jack Boyd looks up the inside of Blake Purdy, but not going to get the run.
We were speaking of errors just then, and there was one from Blake Purdy, slightly overshot himself into the corner. The track falls away on the exit of the keyhole corner, and Now you look at Blake Purdy here. He's got to deal with mirrors full of Jack Boyd, and they go on through. Nope, nothing doing just yet, but they have to be careful about how aggressively they battle, because if they start to go too wide through a couple of corners around here, this is one of the few circuits where effectively, after China Beach, you're holding yourself up seconds through corners, not tenths of seconds, whole seconds through corners.
Yes, certainly, and that's not really what you want to be doing either, because it just compromises you so badly. So you just got to try and make sure that you're keeping that delta as close to zero or as much in the negative range as you possibly can to make sure you're not losing any time.
Time of the essence then when they cross the line. They'll have 14 laps remaining of the first of 2 races today in the Australasian Porsche Challenge, and for the time being it looks like every battle's going to be key. There is Emerson Harvey. He has got himself onto the back of Michael Taliancic then in terms of this scrap, going on for 9th and 10th position as they go on into turn number 1. That's a look down the inside. Mike knows all sorts of things about these battles and knows when to attack and when not to attack. And Emerson Harvey there knowing when to attack through against Michael Taliancic, who drops back into 10th place.
Yeah, drops in just behind. Decided it was better of it to not try and force the issue up at the around the outside, so he was behind Emerson Harvey for the time being, and probably try to make him move a little bit longer. But Boyd is through, or is he? Because Blake Purdy is going to try and hold it to zone around at the outside. Was the inside, now it's going to be on the outside, and Boyd will go on through.
And it has cost them the gap now up to 1.2 seconds to the race lead, and Cooper Webster's got exactly what he wants. Blake Purdy is always someone who wants to fight for every position, and very nearly just proved it there. So really, Cam, you have to feel Blake Purdy, he'll want that back.
Yeah, he certainly will want that back, and he's looking very closely to possibly make him move, but he's going to have his work cut out from his. Boyd is a very, very decent driver in these Porsches and knows his way around them very well, so he's just going to have to keep applying pressure as best as he can and hope that he makes a mistake.
And talking of mistakes, Griffin Gardner in 4th position's only 1.6 seconds back of these two.
Yeah, it's starting to catch up to these two just ahead of him after that era, and he's actually matching the pace of what Cooper Webster is actually. He's actually quicker by a few tenths, so Griffin Gardner coming back into this one. He's still got plenty of time as well, so might adjust, but that's a missed box for Taliancic.
It is, and well, Tally wouldn't have liked that one too much, so that one not ideal. That will cost a second or so. There is Bobby Ivanovic, who will be breezing on by without any worries at all. The missed box wouldn't have made any difference really in terms of that. And of course, you can go as wide as you like on pit exits so long as you're on the inside. Now, here's another scrap. There is the 76 then, the 9 Lives racing car of Emerson Harvey trying to get around the stealth Simforce machine that Richard Skender is running right now. That's a lunge to the inside. That's a bit too aggressive. That's around you go for the stealth Simforce car.
And that's not the direction you want to be facing, especially at that sort of corner where you've got everybody coming down the hill towards you. So I'll grab a minimum simulation replay of what's gone on there, and you can just see Emerson Harvey applying the pressure, looking to the inside, but not going to be close enough to get a move done as they come back over the crest. Emerson Harvey looking to the right hand side, but just sits station for the time being, and then on the way in, throws it in there, and well, there's no real gap there.
Never had the corner, never was anywhere near to make that happen, and Richard Skender is absolutely fuming behind the cockpit there as he dives down into the pits. He says that was cheap there in terms of that sort of move. You don't go for gaps that don't exist, and now we've got a fight going on for 5th and 6th place out on track. Jake Blackwell and Luke Bergen's here. They've been keeping socially distant, I think is the right way to say it, for the majority of this race so far, but now that they're within 0.8 of a second, this is where Bergens is going to start just ratcheting up the pressure here, just inch by inch here in terms of this race.
Yeah, slightly quicker that last time by was Bergens by just over half a tenth, so not a lot in it between the two drivers, but is in favour of Bergens at this stage, and he's going to have the draft of Blackwell as well, so he'll be able to use that to his advantage, but still got it, one thing to catch him, another thing to pass.
Of course, the old Murrayism, which has been so vital to racing for the longest time. There is 2nd and 3rd, still nose to tail, and Griffin Gardner quietly waiting there in 4th position, hoping to get close enough to start being an influence on that battle in front for the podium. But there is Jake Blackhall, there is Luke Bergens, there is the gap, and it's under half a second as they go through the opening corner. Now, Blackhall is maybe more suited to a touring car style of driving more rather than a Porsche style of driving. How different is this, say, jumping into a touring car like a TCR compared to where they are right now, driving a very, very difficult cup car?
Well, obviously a TCR car, front wheel drive, a little bit different to drive in terms of your technique. You've got to be patient on the throttle. You've got to roll it into the corner more, all that sort of stuff. Whereas in this Porsche, you've got so much more grip and so much more ability to get on the power as Mulek's gone off the road there.
Yep, that's a turn 2, hasn't yet pitted in, so let's see how this one happens. I think this is a case of just overextending on the brakes, trying to get the car slowed down. So we'll have a little look. There was Emerson Harvey just behind as well. On the brakes. Oh, back loops around trying to slow it down. The purple car, I think is the only way to describe it, ends up looking a little bit more beached.
Yeah, certainly not going to be setting purple sectors anytime soon. And Cooper Webster comes into the pit lane and is followed by the rest of the top 4 as well. So this is going to be an interesting one to see what happens here and who comes out in front of who and possibly who ends up not jumping. Blackhall and Bergens also come in as well. So everybody's starting to come into the lane. I think we've reached a point where pretty much you have to come into the lane as everybody else is starting to as well.
Pit party as they hit the lane. Who's going to have the win in terms of the battle of pit crews then? Here for this one. There goes Webster immediately, and Boyd has got the jump on Blake Purdy. Exactly what was needed. No real shocks then through the pitting cycle. They return out 1, 2, 3, and 4. But crucially, Cooper Webster has gained a second over that stop.
Yeah, he certainly has. So he's managed that gap well between the drivers behind, and it's really started to pull away even more now with the fact that he's had a quicker stop. So in a league of his own at the moment is Cooper Webster, so he just needs to cruise on home from here. But it's not over and out for this 2nd and 3rd place battle, and with Griffin Gardner not too far behind, I'd say it's going to be a 3-way battle very, very shortly.
Luke Bergens on the inside at turn 2, running into troubles. There goes Emerson Harvey through in the 9 Lives car there right now. So there is Bergens missing the brake points on cold tyres out of the pit, and then he grabs the tarmac and goes around. So easy to do. How tough is cold tyres when it comes to iRacing?
Well, very, very difficult because, well, there's no heat in them, and it's pretty greasy, so you've just got to be very, very careful with the fact that they are cold and give them a little bit of time to warm up and get some temp and rubber back on them. So yeah, this is one of those difficult things about iRacing where you don't have that luxury of being able to go straight out of the box and push at 110%. You've actually got to take it easy for the first few corners at least, and then you can start giving it a little bit more gentle, as they say. But you can see here on board, Blake Purdy is closing that gap ever so slightly to Jack Boyd, but not going to be close enough to make a move at this point. But is definitely a little bit stronger on the brake pedal, that's for sure.
Giving it the jandle. I think I'm stealing that one, Cam. Thank you very much. But there is 2nd and 3rd as they go on through, and they're doing a pretty good job. But look at the pack that's forming behind Emerson Harvey all of a sudden there in what is 6th place. You've got Bergens in 7th, Jovanovic in 8th, Taliantic there in 9th, all split by about 1 second equally as they go on through. So this is going to be a little bit of an awkward fight right now. It's going to be about who can get that consistency in the final 9 laps.
Yes, certainly it is, and it's just a matter of looking after those tyres that they've got on the car and using what they've got underneath them as well is obviously being fixed up. There's no real advantage between each car. It's all about what the driver can do and how well they can drive the wheels off the thing.
Yep, and driving the wheels off the thing is what they've been doing very well over the course of this race right now. We've seen how everyone's been trying to put themselves up in the best possible positions for this race, and this is going to be a tall order. We've also got this one, 12th and 13th, Brian Borg under pressure from the recovering Richard Skender. There you can see there, the front doesn't look too pretty after the contact that was made earlier with Emerson Harvey, and that's a huge mistake then on the entry to turn number 9. I think he may have grabbed a little bit of grass.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he did, and then just bit the rear ever so, or dipped the rear out ever so slightly, and as a result had to sort of correct it and try and hold on to the thing, unfortunately. So he's opened that gap up ever so slightly more to Brian Borg, but he'll be able to hopefully catch back up and get on by at some stage.
Here's Luke Bergens in 7th position, trying to chase down Emerson Harvey for 6th right now at this moment in time on the straight through turn 3. The small kink right, the gap is 9/10 of a second. He will be in that draft range, but crucially, Emerson Harvey is just slightly pulling away on the straights here as they hit the brakes and go into the next right-hander. There's not much you can do about that. So it will have to be through the tight and twisties maybe, where you see all of that change. There is Jack Boyd in 2nd, looking behind at Blake Purdy in 3rd place. And, well, the lead, 2.3 seconds, is going to be tough to claw down. I think they're fighting for honours of the minor podium positions.
Yeah, certainly. I think they are at this stage based on the pace that they've got and the fact that they're not really catching Cooper Webster at this point in time, so it's just a matter of scrapping for what they've got and seeing what they can do with what they've got at the moment and see whether Griffin Gardner can catch up to them as well. And if they do actually start fighting a little bit harder, they will bring Griffin Gardner into this as well.
Well, they're trying to make sure that doesn't become a factor, and I think Blake Purdy knows. Just stay calm, just stay quiet. You have your chance, you're right there. You can go and attack on the final couple of laps. For the time being, all you have to do is be patient, and I think that's the key. But a little look into the mirrors there of Jack Boyd trying to unsettle him in front, and that's so easy to do sometimes with drivers. Just get into their blind spot, get into their mirrors, get into wherever it is that freaks out a driver, and do the one thing that really they do not want to happen. That is the art of warfare, that is the art of battling.
Yeah, they certainly don't want to be holding each other up too much, especially if they do start to fight, with the fact that the end of the race is closing up fairly quickly with the way this is going. But we have to wait and see what happens and who's going to end up coming out on top.
Well, on the brakes, nice and narrow then for the carousel, and trying to attack here the final corner to go on with 6 laps remaining in this race. Cooper Webster cleared by 2.2, but Purdy not giving this one up here into turn number 1. Getting right up underneath, but not finding the chance just yet. Needs power on the exit, which of course Jack Boyd had. Closing up to a car length once again, hoping there's room at the end. There isn't again, and again it's a case of searching for a place which isn't quite there. Get the run, diamond the corner off the exit, and don't grab the grass on the outside, because that's all the run gone for Blake Purdy.
Yeah, and that's probably his chances of getting a 2nd place finish as well gone, based on the fact that there was nothing in it between the two of them pace-wise, and this is going to allow Griffin Gardner to possibly start to close in a little bit with the fact that Blake Purdy doesn't really have any draft to work with anymore, as we're getting a matter of simulation replay of what he did. Came in ever so slightly too hot, managed to just get ever so slightly too eager on the gas pedal and clip the grass on the exit, barely saved it, but has lost some time as a result. Getting another replay of what's happened to David Kidman here, a little bit too sideways on the exit of 10, and that's going to be the tyre wall.
It is, and that's oversteer over Thunder Valley and into turn 11, so that was always going to be tough, and David Kinman then returns in 15th place. There is Skender under pressure, or trying to apply that pressure, on Brian Ball. Can't get it done around the outside. Knows as well, there is Robert Cook just in front. We said nothing about Robert Cook all race because he's been on his own all race, but there is Brian Borg under that pressure in the fantastic Premier Esports car right now, and there is Mr. Cook trying to get close up right now, and it seems that for the time being anyway, it's all about these 3 converging in on each other with 5 to go.
Yeah, Brian Bull obviously a little bit quicker than Richard Cook as he's starting to close down that gap, and it'll be a 3-way battle for the minor positions just outside at the top 10, and Skender obviously with some decent pace as well, so it'll be no surprise if Skender manages to get on by both of these drivers once they all come up towards each other, and whether Brian Ball can actually do enough to hold off Skender as well.
And of course Richard Skender there in 13th. The ideal will be Robert Cook in 11th place, but you've got Brian Borg then, who's got to be really, really concerned about how he goes about this final stage of the race, because this is what is was going to be colloquially known as Schrodinger's overtake, but that won't matter here because they're close on the exit. Good drive from Brian Borg, actually. That's very well covered. Skender's going to try and keep to the inside, but doesn't have any toe to really help. Will try and gather it up in the second phase of the straight before hitting the brakes, and it's covered again here by Borgie, who does just enough once more to try and keep behind Skender.
Yeah, he's putting the car exactly where he needs to stop Skender trying to get a move and trying to get on by as well. So he's doing exactly what he needs to at this stage, but he needs to try and get a hurry up if he wants to catch Robert Cook and find a way on by.
Well, he wants to catch, he wants to get through, but of course he's running out of time now in order to make that happen. The gap is 1 second almost to Robert Cook in 11th place. And you have to remember as well that Brian Borg effectively started at the back of the field, not setting a qualifying time. So going through the right then of the carousel, that gap just dipping down to 9/10. That's going to be news to the ears, as what will also be a little bit of news to the ears is that we do have these mini battle packs going up and down the order. You've got Harvey and Bergen 6th and 7th, who are about 1.2 seconds apart, and the same can be said between Jovanovic and Taliancic.
Yeah, certainly again, there's a number of battles throughout the field as Skender looks to the inside, but not going to get a move. That was very close to running to the back of Brian Borg there, and that's compromised the exit a little bit with the fact that he's had to lift out, but he's close enough to at least have a dive if he's keen enough. So we'll see what he can do on the way down to China Beach. Looks to the outside, Borg goes defensive. He brakes as late as he dares, ever so slightly late, but not going to be able to get the move done.
He wanted to go in up and under, I think, at the 991, but the reality was there was a Borg on apex there and couldn't turn the vehicle in. So nothing you can do about that one. The race continues with Cooper Webster out in front, 2.5 seconds clear, as he has been for the entirety of this last stint. You can see how much they pushed then through turn 9 and up through Thunder Valley at turn 10 into turn number 11. And this is where you have to be really crafty with the way that you position the vehicle right now. And that is a big wide line from the 991, which will want to try and get back in and attack. And ultimately, this is another little waiting game just outside of your top 10.
Yeah, it certainly is a bit of a waiting game, but we don't want to be waiting too on, and Jovanovic has gone around at the keyhole.
Well, turn 2 strikes again. Car number 89, Bobby Jovanovic, drops 8th place then here and was just being caught a little bit by Michael Taliancic there. We had that gap just creep in under a second, and then the moment the brakes get hit, it's easy to lock the rears up, the back starts to step around, and well, there you go. That's how easy you can spin it at a very tough turn 2.
Yeah, obviously being off camera as well doesn't help, as Skender's really close to the back of Brian Borg now. Looks to the inside, but not going to be close enough to get a move done. Very hard to get the power down enough to get a move up the inside there, as we've seen on numerous occasions by different drivers. But he's still hunting and he's trying everything again to find his way on by Brian Borg, but just can't quite seem to get the ever so slight advantage that he needs.
Also on for 6th and 7th place as Skender tries to attack Brian Borg, and there actually goes Bergens. He drops down to 8th place on the timing tower. So there is what has happened. Oh, there goes Borg as well in the background, who goes around. So 2 things to try and dissect then. What happened to Borg and what happened to Bergens?
Yeah, there's a lot that's gone on there with the few of the drivers, as Jovanovic was around as well. So, yeah, all sorts going on in this last 2 laps or so. And
well, there's Jovanovic in the background.
Yeah.
So that was the final corner that caught out one driver. There was the second that came in. So we'll catch the first one first and foremost here. We are going on to the last lap in just a little bit. So this is what happens to Bergen, going through towards the final corner, trying to put the pad out. Oh, he's lost it on the curb, and he's trying to gather it up, and he's off camber all the way in the grass, which is no help at all. There is Bobby Jovanovic, who's just run it in too deep, and the heated up rears are lit through that section. And here's what's happened to Brian Borg on the brakes going on through, who has done it all on his own. So 3 mistakes in the same complex in the final little bit. So we are now on the final lap of this race, as Jovanovic is holding the top 10 against Robert Cook and also Rich Skender. But there is your race leader right now out on track, Cooper Webster, who is 3.2 seconds clear Boyd started to fall back here to 6/10, the gap between himself and, of course, there in what is second and third, Blake Purdy, who has not given this one up, not by any stretch of the imagination. And this one for 7th and 8th place. You've got Michael Taliancic, you've got Luke Bergens here going on it for one more position right now out on track. And it seems like every place is a battleground that is worth fighting for. For Webster, though, he has no such battleground to speak of. Up Thunder Valley for the final time, and through left and right, he will take the initial race then here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Club, rounding the carousel, and one more corner to go. Cooper Webster has been absolutely faultless and takes himself a heat win here in this opening race. It is Boyd in second and Purdy in third. They will start 8th and 9th. And there is Griffin Gardner, the pole sitter, coming home with 4th place. Quiet drive there from Blackhall. Harvey then will be next. And here's the battle 7th and 8th here. And it's nose to tail as they go through. Taliancic with control.
Yes, certainly. Very, very good finish for a number of drivers, and Taliancic is going to come away with the 7th place finish as well. So nice way to finish the race, considering where he started as well, which is not too bad, but one position gain, so didn't lose out in the end. But a race of what could have been for a number of drivers, including Bobby Jovanovic.
Well, he will get the pole position for the inverse grid. Of course, we inverse the top 10 here in this series, and Bobby Jovanovic over the line does a really good job to maintain that 10th place. So confirmation of results then. They'll be right here on your screen in just a moment. So we'll see how this one all finished up. Cooper Webster then, 23 laps worth of racing, and it works out for him. Wins by 3.2 over Jack Boyd. Blake Purdy gets third with Griffin Gardner fourth. Jake Blackhall finishing in 5th position for the Pure Sims outfit. Emerson Harvey then with a wild ride to 6th, and Michael Taliancic in 7th. He beats out Luke Bergens, who went backwards late to 8th place. Jordan Mulak had a spin, finishing in 9th, and Bobby Jovanovic a couple of spins in 10th place.
And you're going to have it just behind Robert Cook and Richard Skinner, Brian Borg, Matt Marsh, Jamie Stovald, David Kimmin, Alex Schuler, Jacob Cranston, rounding out the 18-car field, and we're ready to go for race 2.
Exactly. 10 inverted. They'll be looking to try and get going quickly. It's only 11 laps here for this one, and that's going to be a tough challenge that they will be having to deal with here in this one. It will be Bobby Jovanovic then on the pole position for this one, with Jordan Mulak second and Luke Bergens third. Taliancic goes from 4th, Harvey 5th, Blackhall, Gardner, Purdy, Boyd, and Webster the top 10. Then you got Cook, Skender, Borg, Marsh, Stovall, Kinman, Schuler, and Cranston, the 18 that will be looking to try and get themselves to racing here. Track temp has gone up a little bit. It's now 34 degrees on the track, 25 in the air. So this is going to be a little bit more of a challenge here on what is a dash here of just under 40 kilometers worth of action. This is going to be about the quick drivers trying to get through, the slower drivers trying to hold up, and this is going to need some great car control, and this is traditionally, Cam, where it all gets a little bit messy.
Yeah, it certainly does, especially with the fact that you've got those quick drivers coming through the field behind those slower drivers. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this race and who's going to take it out and what incidents we might possibly see.
There's the good run. There's the green flag. Let's get ourselves going. Bobby Jovanovic went immediately, and immediately there in the background, everyone started to fan out a little bit. We're full wide here as we go towards turn number 1. That's going to be messy here as they go on through. Boyd's on the outside of it there. You can see everyone going through. There's one off.
Yes, Jovanovic off the road, and that's not gone well for him, considering he started on the pole as well. Just did it on his own, clipped the inside curb, and around he went. So that's not the start he's going to want to know. It wasn't the start for a number of drivers, including Jake Blackwell, who ended up getting hit by Griffin Gardner in the side, straightened up, luckily. But what a messy start it was, and could have been so much worse.
Well, here's Harvey trying to dive in for second here on Bergens. trying to pick up the place, and that's not going to quite work as they go side by side through China Beach. Now around the outside tries Cooper Webster, who needed to make positions early and has done so. Purdy's trying to follow through as well. Side by side again then through turn 6. And Bergens falls back into line. Now you can see on the back, there's even more wanting to get in on the action as well, because there's Griffin Gardner trying to get on through with this one. And Purdy's turned in. And Gardner's gone into the back as well. And it's all just gone wrong there as they've gone on through. And there is Skender trying to get into place.
Going to be the beneficiary out of that from that incident between Purdy and Co, but unfortunately not the start that they would have wanted. And Purdy's trying to force the issue up the inside. Is going to be stuck on the outside for the final corner, and it's going to allow Skender to get that position back, and going to bring Taliancic into this as well.
So Jordan Mulak leads, Emerson Harvey then in second, and Cooper Webster in third. That's how things stack up at the moment. And oh no! Oh no! Mulak and also Harvey going off then in towards the chicane section. They were just catching each other a little bit closely, and Emerson Harvey has gone around and is now demoted to the back of the field. What on earth happened there? It continues here in the Australasian Porsche Challenge here into turn number 1. No overlap there, but what happened between Harvey, who got a great run off of the exit here. Oh, that's a case of trying to pinch and not knowing where the driver was there from Jordan Mulak.
A little bit unfortunate for Mulak, and Emerson Harvey, unfortunately, being the victim in all of that, with obviously no doing of his own, and Bergens obviously being hit from behind there by Blake Purdy on lap 1, and he's fallen down to the back as well. So not the start that he would have wanted. He went actually behind the fence as well, and then obviously you've got that chaos on lap 1.
Yeah,
we've got chaos.
Oh, yeah, Mulak in trouble. Blackhall in trouble as well. We'll go to that in a moment. We were just catching what happened on lap 1 with Jovanovic, but let's hopefully see where everyone has dropped back a little bit there. There is Mulak with damage. There is, of course, one Mr. Jake Blackhall, who is now down in 14th place. What has happened here as we catch this on Motion Simulation Replay? So here is Jordan Mulak here trying to go through this section of road. And, well, is it Blake Purdy again here at this section? No, Mulak just loses it all on his own here and gets ceremoniously dumped to the outside. Taliancic does well to avoid it, but as such, there goes Jake Blackhall, and I believe that's Robert Cook who gets straight into the side there of one Mr. That is Mulak, and that is the case.
It was, and unfortunately, Blackhall really actually just got tipped up from behind by Jack Boyd, who had nowhere to go, unfortunately, so not what he would have wanted at all, and Robert Cook left with nowhere to go either.
Not ideal, but they will continue and talk about drivers who have profited off of these incidents. David Kinman is now into 6th place. This is what Robert Cook saw. He went wide, and then, car's reversing, and bang! There is the hit, which really does not help things at all. The front looks pretty damaged up. Good news is, engine's in the rear, so you don't have to worry about the engine going smoking about everywhere. But look at this train now behind Dave Kinman in 6th place. This is going to be a really, really tough battle for those in the mid-pack to try and get through.
Definitely is going to be a tough ask for all those drivers behind to find a way on by. Stitch and Brian Borg have come together by the looks of it.
Oh, it continues here, and that's Brian Borg, who I think is going to redress the place back, and does. So good sportsmanship there from Brian Borg, but that is not how you make a pass at the carousel. Up through Thunder Valley, we look from Brian Borg's perspective here, going through here to the left, which is a really good run from Brian Borg. You can see how late on the brakes does he grab it there. Inside was grabbed slightly, but then just runs into the back, and effectively can't slow the car down enough.
Unfortunately, paid the price as a result, dropping down the order and having to deal with now a little bit of damage as well. And he's stuck with Emerson Harvey and Jake Blackhall just outside the top 10 now. So not the race that those two will have wanted for sure, especially with the fact that Borg was doing quite well for himself inside that top 10.
He was doing well, but there they go into China Beach. Borg is on the outside parabola. He can't do anything about Emerson Harvey. He's got 12th place under lock and under key. there through that section of road. There is fourth position. Richard Skender trying to chase down Blake Purdy, who is in third place. The gap is 1.8 seconds, or it was 1.8, it's now 1.1 seconds at this moment in time. So that's worth noting. It's 1.8 back to Jack Boyd, who's trying to recover in fifth place. Fastest lap of the race was done on lap 4 by Cooper Webster, who is absolutely flying out there at the front. He's 2 seconds clear of Griffin Gardner.
You're taking advantage of all the incidents that have happened in front and behind him to make his way up to the front of the field very, very quickly. So just cruising on out front is Cooper Webster at the moment. Griffin Gardner's trying his best to close that gap down, but unfortunately half a second slower that last time by. So we actually end up getting caught by Blake Purdy if he's not careful.
Well, it's all about being aggressive and being aggressive early in these races. We've seen a lot of drivers be aggressive but not controlled in their aggression. Everyone will be looking for places. There's nothing to lose here in this one. Harvey close to Blackhall. This won the fight for 11th place. They've got Taliancic just in front there in the 10th position as they look to try and funnel away into the next right-hand bend here as they go on through. Nothing really to worry about at the moment. Everybody in line, but Harvey will be looking to try and be aggressive here and try and gain places at a rate of knots, because every place matters, especially as well considering who is in front of these groups right now that we want to chase down from now to the end of the race. 8th and 9th will want to battle soon. That's Bobby Ivanovic on the recovery, trying to get through on Alex Schuler at a gap of 8 tenths.
They want to try and make his way on by as soon as he possibly can, as he's running out of laps with how quickly this race is going by and how short this race is as well. So you need to try and get a move on as quickly as he possibly can and score some decent points.
Decent points are going to be needed. You're not going to find decent points in 11th or 12th position. Mark my words about that one as they go towards turn number 1. Once again, looking to be aggressive and attacking in the early goings. There's battles up and down. You've got Kinland and Stovall, the two teammates, having a good little look at things as well, just a little bit further forward up the group. But there, you can see it right now. There behind is, of course, the battle between Schuler and Jovanovic at this stage. But there is the run towards the China Beach, turn number 4, as they go on to the brakes into the right-hander, not quite finding what is needed at this moment in time. So they will stay as they are. 4th and 5th as well started to get a little bit dicey. Jack Boyd's found the back of Rich Skender.
Certainly has, and he's going to be trying to find a way on by as quickly as possible as Jack Boyd, especially try and capitalise on this race, with the way this race has gone. He did finish second in the first race, so if he does get another position in this race, he should be able to put himself in a very, very good standing come at the end of this round with the points that he has.
Well, he'll be looking to try and get that one going quickly. He needs to make the move and needs to make the move fast. The good news is going to be that it's going to be 4th place if he can find a way through. The bad news is Blake Purdy in 3rd, Griffin Gardner in 2nd. If the points are equal between feature and sprint, it could be a case where they're all tied on points, but there's the brakes down the inside. No real worries at all from Jack Boyd. He's up into 4th without any dramas.
Certainly, and that's the last thing you want is dramas with the fact that you've only got 5 laps to go, and albeit there is a lot of pressure on the tail of David Kinman at the moment in the form of his teammate Jamie Stovall. He'll definitely still be wanting to try and at least get a result here for points, and he's done quite well to gain 10 positions in the process. So if he can finish in 6th place here, it'll be a very, very solid race for him.
Well, it will be a solid place. Stovall is currently trying to gatekeep a little bit here with this one because they've got to be worried about Schuler and Jovanovic maybe behind, who are only 1.5 seconds off the pace. They've been quietly working this pace in the latter stages of the race at this moment. We are just over the halfway stage. We're now into the latter stages here at this moment, and you start to feel, well, okay, if I'm quicker, maybe I've got a chance to get through. But of course, when you're racing your teammate, you either know them really well or you don't want to really put them in any sort of trouble. A little bit of a wider line taken by Stovall. He definitely is someone who just wants to gain places, just wants to race, just wants to have fun.
Yep, definitely, and he's trying his best to do what he can here to gain another position off his teammate as well, as he's using every inch of the curb there on or through turn 1. And it's probably one of the first times we've seen a car use that turn 1 curb as well, not get unloaded. So very lucky to use the line that he did, but nevertheless not doing it too bad to sit behind Kinman here. And I do have to wonder if he's maybe setting himself up for an attack on the last lap or so.
That could definitely be the case as Shula gets a little bit squirrely behind, and that may allow Bobby Jovanovic the chance to try and chase down into 8th position here in this one. The pole sitter trying to gain places, but they've just quietly worked their way onto the back. The gap now down to what is going to be 1.3 seconds now, and Alex Shula's just been quietly putting the pace on, almost being forced to run this pace by Bobby Jovanovic, who definitely does not want to get aggressive now, with eyes maybe set on 6th.
And he has his eyes set on 6th at the moment, but Alex Shula trying his best to run away from it. The Fusion car of Jovanovic, who's applying the pressure quite nicely. He hasn't had a great race in the first race at least, so he's trying to at least have a recovery, and obviously starting on pole didn't have a very good start as well with the mistake that he made at turn 1, but he's on the recovery, so he'll be at least getting some form of points here.
There is Taliancic, who will also have to play defensive because that behind is Emerson Harvey wanting to find a way into the top 10, and there's one off. Then just in front, and that is Jamie Stovall, who's run into the mistake at turn 1. We've seen a number of spins today at turn number 1, and there goes Harvey down the inside in the 9 Lives racing car, trying to get that one on the exit. Taliancic is still there, or was still there, and now isn't.
No longer there, unfortunately, due to that mistake, and he's dropped right in behind Jake Blackhall as well. So not what he's going to have wanted with that mistake, and he's dropped it down the results, or down the page as a result. But Blackhall applying the pressure quite nicely to Stovall here.
And there is Bobby Jovanovic starting to say that's the time to bounce, trying to look at the inside, but ultimately, nope, going to have to fall back into line there. Nothing you can do about those sorts of moves. That was well defended by Alex Shula in the 4.52, doing only what was needed there to hold that. So, Stovall then has got himself back into 9th. He got Blackhall in 10th. And of course, with the redress after contact between Taliancic and Harvey, they're now 11th and 12th trying to go through. But there goes Taliancic. He's straight on in the grass. He's got to slow it down and make sure he doesn't run into the side. And now he drops behind Harvey. So, forced error.
Yeah, forced error, and Harvey's on by, so another position lost for Taliancic, unfortunately, and Blackhall on for a top 10 here at this race. Very close to the back of Jamie Stovall, and Jovanovic is in.
Bobby Jovanovic, turn 1 on the opening lap, turn 1 with 2 laps to go. Not ideal as he goes around, and Blackhall finds a way through on Jamie Stovall as well. We catch it on the motor replay. This is where it goes wrong for Bobby Jovanovic. He was pushing hard. He had tyres in the grass on the exit of the final corner as well, and in towards turn number 1. Is it a case of curb on the inside? Oh, you bet it is.
Turn 1 curve has certainly not been nice to Bobby tonight, that's for sure, and it's a fair assumption that he will stay away from it for the rest of this race. But another replay of Blackhall getting very, very loose under brake, nearly slamming into the side of Stovall, but managing to come out the other side just behind. So no harm, no foul there, but he's going to probably have to observe a slowdown. Emerson Harvey's going to be trying to make a move up the inside as a result. He's got a very nice run and sends it up the inside.
Oh, but this is where it goes wrong here for Blackhall, because he's gone far too deep here on the motor replay as we do start the last lap, and he has to drop all the places then. So not ideal for Blackhall as he went through in the Pure Sims car. He'll be hoping for a purer race around to the championship. He's down now in 11th, holding off that 12th place. There is Harvey in 9th. He's trying to get through still on Stovall for 8th place. This is the big battle out of track. Stovall runs slightly wide. Harvey's going to have to go the long way in order to try and get this one done. Taliancic there in 10th will just be trying to profit off of this. The 9 Lives racing car goes the long way around at the keyhole corner. Not going to work there. You're going to have to try and go up and under to pick this one off then, Mr. Harvey, if you want that one. It's all plain sailing, though, at the front of the field as Taliancic tries to close on in for one Mr. Cooper Webster. As there's the look to the outside, trying to get this move done. Is this one going to happen around the outside and make this one all sorted? It looks like it is. It feels like it is. Hip check. And into the wall goes Stovall late in the day. There is Cooper Webster through the carousel, though, and we'll get a double here at Mid-Ohio. It's Cooper Webster's world here with the wins at Mid-Ohio.
Total domination from Cooper Webster with both the race wins and even pole in third in qualifying. So not quite a clean sweep, but still a very, very good haul of points to walk away from round one with.
Absolutely. And there we see the last few drivers trying to make progress over to the line. Bobby Jovanovic then will stay ahead of Robert Cook through the final corners, barring a few more dramas and waylaid moments, and there are none. Nope, there's none. So Bobby Jovanovic stays in 13th. Robert Cook then will get 14th. We haven't talked about Matt Marsh today either. It's 15th place for him, and there's a Motum replay that we are just going to catch then of what happened on the final lap for hopefully between Emerson Harvey. This is a lap earlier than what we have. So this was Harvey looking for the inside, and there goes Blackhall down on the inside. So that was one lap prior to what we needed. And well, Jamie Stovall then, this is the incident that really did catch everything up then. So we finally do catch it. Here's what happens then as they go on through. Harvey's holding the outside, and ultimately that's a case of, well, I'm wanting to pitch you to the inside, and Harvey's having none of that. I'm taking the road on the inside.
Yeah, unfortunately, coming off second best, it was Jamie Stovall there, and move it from a slightly different angle as well. And you can just see side by side through towards China Beach, and it was a little bit of moving over on towards Emerson Harvey as well. So sort of his own fault and own doing.
I think it's 6 of one and half a dozen of another, really, when you're battling at that sort of level for the final lap. But confirmation of your second race, your feature, so to say, is Cooper Webster, who wins it by 4.6 seconds over Griffin Gardner. He got to the lead very, very quickly from 10th on the grid. Blake Purdy gets third position with Jack Boyd in fourth. Richard Skender will be very happy about that recovery to get a top 5 finish. David Kinman gets sixth with Alex Schuler in seventh. Then Emerson Harvey, Michael Taliancic, and Jake Blackhall round out the top 10.
They have Brian Borg and Jamie Stovall, followed by Bobby Jovanovic, Robert Cook, and Matt Marsh rounding out the top 15, and then Luke Bergens, Jordan Mulek, Jacob Cranston rounding out your 18-car field.
Yeah, and just getting word in for the next rounds of the championship, we are moving from a rolling start over to a standing start for the next round. So that'll be definitely something worth keeping in mind in this Australasian Porsche Challenge. It was a really, really strong showing here at this moment, and this has really been a place where all the battling has been incredibly, incredibly key. But round 2 of the championship takes a different turn, Cam. We head over to Montreal, and it's going to be a street circuit battleground for the next 3 rounds of the championship.
Definitely, in Montreal, one of those tracks where this car's actually not too bad and actually creates a lot of good racing we've seen in the past with the car and that track. So looking forward to seeing what's going to happen and who's going to come out on top, whether it's going to be another Cooper Webster domination filled round or whether there's going to be someone else step up to the plate.
Well, they've all tried to step up to the plate, and we've seen some amazing action. But, of course, a massive thanks to those who are getting it done here for this today. Motum Simulations have been on the replays here for this one. And on top of that, it's been a brilliant work by the crew behind the scenes. From Jay Kennedy on the cameras, from Cam Dance alongside me, my name has been Jake Sperry, and Cooper Webster has got the pace, has got the results that's needed, has worked through the melees of the second race, and has done everything that was required. It's victories today, and well, Montreal awaits. We head up over the border into Canada, and of course, Montreal is going to be a completely different challenge. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time for that, but stay with SimSpeed TV. There'll be some more action coming up later today.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Very close. These guys guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.